Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are having an amazing day. My name is Kat and today I'm going to get into my January wrap-up part 1. Okay, so I have some books due back at the library today, so I am actually filming this a little bit early, actually a lot early. It's only been a week into January, so this is gonna have two parts. This part and then probably a second part with more books later. And we're just gonna run through it in the order that I read them. This is a switch up from how I normally do it, where I do it from least favorite to most favorite. So the first book that I read in 2020, I made sure that it was going to be one that I really like. So at midnight on January 1st, I read The Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. I was saving this specifically to read it first in 2020 to start off the year on a good foot. So The Tea Dragon Festival is the second in the Tea Dragon series by Katie O'Neill. She is an amazing author and illustrator. I just love her to pieces. This is so soft and so inclusive and just beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. So in this one, we are following a young girl who is going into the forest to forage food for her village when she stumbles upon a dragon who has been sleeping for a long time. He fell asleep and he slept through the festival that he was supposed to go to, but luckily there's a festival next week and he is going to help the village get ready for it. I gave this book 4.5 stars because it's absolutely amazing. I just think Katie O'Neill has such a stunning illustration style. I just don't know how she does it. It's just, oh my gosh. And this was one of my favorite tea dragons. He's a grumpy one. I think he's mountain chamomile. I think he's a mountain breed. So I just love this so much. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a young reader in your life. I think that this is absolutely amazing for adults as well. So the next book I have to talk about is The Starless See by Erin Morgenstern. So in this one we are following Zachary, who is a university student who discovers a book in the library that actually has a chapter on his life in it. That kicks off an adventure for him to find out where it came from, what the Starless See is. I DNF'd after 120 pages because I just honestly hated the formatting of the book. So how it goes is every single chapter flips back and forth between different stories, and by the time I got to page 120, I think that there were like, I don't know, 6 to 8 different narrative threads that were going, and it seemed like every time something was happening in Zachary's world, it shifted, and instead of building tension, I was just getting so frustrated. Just not for me. So the next book that I read was a buddy read with Jordaline from Jordaline Reads. I will leave her links down below. We just have very similar reading tastes, and we get on like a house on fire. We read Lost Boy by Christina Henry. So in this retelling, Peter Pan is actually a huge asshole. I mean, he is in the original. If you've read the original by J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan doesn't really care about the children, and I kind of hated Peter Pan when I read it. I was expecting to love it, and then I just hated it and was like, why does everyone like this? So I really like retellings when they kind of show Peter Pan's true nature and everyone is so shocked, and I'm like, have you read the original? Because he's also a dick in the original. But this one I did like because it's the point of view from Peter Pan's first boy that he brought to the island, and his name is Jamie, and Jamie is looking after the boys but also trying to still be Peter's best friend and his, like, you know, best boy. So as adventures and hijinks on the island take place, you realize that the games and the fun that Peter has been talking about is actually not really fun at all for anyone, unless dying is fun. So I ended up giving Lost Boy 4 stars because I did not see the end coming, and Christina Henry is not afraid to go there. Like, she goes right there. Wow. Like, yeah, actions have consequences in this retelling, which is something that I greatly applaud. And I also just really loved the writing style. It was really fast, and I felt like I was really right there with Jamie. And one of the little boys he's taking care of is a little 5-year-old called Charlie, and Charlie's just the sweetest angel. And throughout the whole book, I was like, if anything happens to Charlie, I'm gonna kill someone. Like, to Jordan, I was like, no, nothing could ever happen to Charlie. So if you want to be terrified for the sake of, you know, the boys that are there with Peter, then yeah, this would be for you. Or if you're looking for a dark, gruesome retelling of Peter Pan, this would also be for you. However, it's not so gruesome that it just becomes like torture porn. The plot was so good and the twist was so good. So that gets 4 stars for me. It's a quick, easy read, and I think that we're gonna read her Little Red Riding Hood retelling in the future. So I can't wait to read that as well. So the last book today that I want to talk about is The Diving Bells by Lucy Wood. This is a collection of short stories focused on Cornish seacoast lore. And as with any short story collection, I loved some and I thought most were meh, and then I didn't like some. So overall, the average for this comes to 3 stars. My absolute favorite story in here is called Of Mothers and Little People. A woman is going back to her childhood home to spend some time with her mother, and when she puts something on her eyes, she starts to see something that is hanging around her mother. And it was just so good. Like, I loved that story. It was so good. Another one that I loved is called Countless Stones, about a woman who is slowly turning into the standing stones looking out toward the horizon. The first story in here is actually about this service that puts you down in a diving bell to help you look for husbands who have been kidnapped by mermaids. And I just thought that that was such like a weird, unique way to tell about straying husbands. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, then I do recommend it. I thought that one of the stories, particularly the one about turning to stone, was very similar to one of the stories about becoming stone in Saltslow by Julia Armfeld. So I think like if you would like one of these collections, you would like the other. Saltslow, in my opinion, is the stronger collection, but if you're looking for another one, this one is quite good, and it deals with a lot of Cornish folklore that I hadn't heard before, so it was very interesting. Alright, so that finishes up this section. I'm going to add another clip on later, but I have to return these 2 books to the library today, so I don't want to incur any fines, and also I'm a very conscientious library user. I know that people want these books. There's like 6 reserved for this one, and there's other like little kids probably that want to read this one, or adults, I don't know. But anyway, I am off to the library after this. I hope that you all are having an amazing day, and I will chat to you very soon right now. I have 2 books to add to what I talked about a second ago. So the first one that I want to talk about is Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson. Now, Jenny Lawson is the funniest writer that I have ever read. I love her memoirs. The first one I read is Furiously Happy, and this is her actual debut, and this is a little taxidermied mouse in an Elizabethan costume holding a tiny skull, which is adorable, macabre, and hilarious. All the things that I really like. So this outlines Jenny's childhood living with a very unusual family, I would say. Her father is a taxidermist whose idea of fun is throwing a baby bobcat on her boyfriend when she brings him home. And the mom is just trying to hold everything together, and her sister are trying to navigate their way through childhood to teenagehood to adulthood, and it is so funny, and I love her so much. She also is one of the only authors I've ever read who has what I have, Trick, which is the reason I wear wigs. Down below I will leave links to the video, more information about that, but I have something called Trichotillomania, and so does she, which she talks about in her second book. It's one of the best memoirs that I've ever read, and I really highly recommend it, and I gave it 4.5 sterling stars. So the last book I want to talk about in this wrap up is Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. And this is the second in a series, but did I read the first one in the series? No, I didn't, because I am a heathen. We follow Millie, who is an American who is going into her final year of high school, and she's very smart. She suffers through kind of a breakup with her kind of girlfriend, and she decides that she's looking for something different. So she accepts a scholarship position at a school in Scotland, which is opening its doors to women for the first time ever. And as she goes to Scotland and into the Highlands to this prestigious school, she realizes that her roommate may or may not be the Princess of Scotland. So I really recommend this for anyone who is looking for a queer commoner and royalty romance story. I just loved it. Also, the setting in Scotland was beautiful, so I just really loved it, and I've had a great reading time so far in January. I hope that all of you are having an amazing reading month so far, starting out the year right with a bunch of great books, and I will chat to you guys in my next video soon. Bye!